All right, Scorpio. So we have the Page of Pentacles or coins here coming out for our mental space. I know last month we talked about some emotional relationship to physical stuff. And here, the page, this is a young energy that has vitality and stamina and excitement. And there's this willingness in the pages. They're young and they're excitable and they're willing to take risk, and they're willing to get involved. And it's like he's holding this up ready to, for another reading, they had Make-A-Wish as their card, and then he came next. And I saw him kind of like making a wish, like someone would blow on a dandelion, but here he has this coin in his hand. So it's this young, hopeful, excitable energy. Our mental space with a physical card, we may be focused on some kind of new opportunity with either an investment, a job, some kind of thing we can physically do, new, a new diet, a new eating plan, a new home. I mean, you name it. This is just, this person is excited about something new in their physical world, and they have an energy that is high to get involved or create this thing. I will say, in association to this card, they say if you're starting a new habit during your birthday, that's better than most people do it at the beginning of the year, right? And that really works for some, and maybe the camaraderie of a lot of people getting involved in new things helps with that. But doing it during your sun time is actually a really good time for us to start a new habit. Around our birthday, that was, 38 years ago, I was 24 hours old. You know what I mean? So I was my first experiences as a human, and something about that, and our bodies and the patterns that happen in our life. So if you are doing something new in your physical world, this could be a new schedule, a new budget, a new meal plan, you name it. But it may be really good for you right now to get that ball rolling, so it's something that could really stick with you. Coming in your physical space, we have the Seven of Wands. I believe we had this card last month too. But here he is on the higher ground and willing to defend himself. In your physical space, you might feel like you're under attack. You might feel like you're getting a little overwhelmed. You may feel like things just aren't working right. I would be very mindful of any conflicts coming your way. How are you responding to people? How are you dealing with this? Are you willing to take the high ground? Are you the one on the offense, or are you going to let that kind of stuff play out and only get involved if it comes from a defensive space? And going back to this, if you want more love in your life, you got to put it out into the world. So any of these things with conflict, I see him like, I'm up here. I'm out of it, right? I'm going to try to keep my composure, and I'm going to focus on only what is mine. It's like he's on this tiny little piece of land and he's like, nope, this is mine, and I will defend this. I'd be very mindful of those conflicts in your life, what you're putting out there. I wouldn't be the one to lash out. I wouldn't be the one to strike first. I would try to have when I say higher ground, having a removed perspective may help deal with some of these things. I think we're going to get more of what that may mean when we do the second half of the reading. So I think I'm going to pause there for now, and we'll come back to it later. For emotional space, we have the 9 of coins. Again, we had the queen there last time, I believe. So still very focused on our physical space. And for some of us, that may mean that we have to deal with that stuff before we can get back into our emotions. So she feels very comfortable in her space. She's obviously put a lot of time and effort and work, and she has created a really beautiful garden for herself that she seems to be very much enjoying. So emotionally, we may feel like, okay, we've really put in the work here. And you may be feeling really, really good about yourself. So now that you've kind of created that space, if last month you were able to deal with some of, I think we talked a bit about clearing out some old stuff or reevaluating your emotional attachments to your physical world. If we've done that and we're now in a place like, okay, I cleaned out some of the old and I've beautifully displayed what I have. Now I'm feeling like, okay, I'm getting it together, right? And that these two things in combination, the page and the 9 here in our mental and our emotional space, I think that is like just that we matured just a little bit more there. We were able to pull it up a notch, and it helped us find security within ourselves, where it's helping us get more stable in our physical world. So we could then put that stuff down if you were able to reorganize your home or clean up your budget a little bit, deal with your physical world in whatever way if it had gotten out of hand, because I understand that my physical world's kind of been a mess because we've had a lot going on, and not only a lot going on in our physical world, but I dealt with a lot of the emotional stuff we talked about last month with dealing with some grief and letting things go. And so I'm there with you, and I feel this, that, you know, the more we can get our world, our physical world running in a smoother order, it frees up the ability to connect with people, because we feel like, okay, I've cleaned things up, I've organized, I feel on top of stuff. It gives you a sense of control. A lot of times it can give us just, I said security already, but it does. It can help us feel more secure. And the more secure we feel in that physical space, the more likely we can then connect on emotional levels with people. Our spiritual space, we have the Moon card. And this is one of my favorite cards. Healing Moon Tarot, you know, makes sense. And spiritually, this may be calling on our intuition. It is our birthday time, and we are Scorpios who are extremely intuitive anyway. This is represented here in us maybe listening to that a little bit more, being a little bit more aware of it, spending time processing it, spending time looking for it. If you do feel you are intuitive in some way, what is your relationship to that? Does it make you comfortable or uncomfortable? Because I know from experience that it can make us feel uncomfortable. Sometimes it's like, why do I know that? Or why do I feel that way? Why is that my response to this situation? I personally recently woke up in the middle of the night and got in my car and drove somewhere because I knew something bad was happening. I hadn't spoken to anyone. I didn't have any reference. But I knew something was wrong. And I trusted myself. Now, should I have gotten in my car and driven somewhere? I don't know. That was maybe a little silly. But I knew in that moment and I trusted in that moment that I was right. And I was right. And it was uncomfortable and upsetting to an extent and whatever. And it caused me to have to deal with some stuff. But, I trusted for whatever reason that I woke up at, Lord knows, middle of the night, 3 something a.m. I didn't feel crazy by trusting myself. And I think that's important for us. If you have those moments where you're just like, I don't know why or how I know, but I know that I know. And then you fall down a rabbit hole of like, am I crazy? What is wrong with me? Why do I think this way? It's very important that our perspective on ourselves is one of support. You know what? You might be crazy, but support you're crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I just trust when I have a really deep gut feeling, I try really hard to trust that without questioning if I'm a lunatic. You know what I mean? So if you come into those situations this month, try to trust yourself. I mean, don't put yourself in a bad situation or do something ridiculously irrational, or you know what I mean? But give yourself the opportunity to trust your instinct, to trust your gut, listen to your intuition, or give yourself more opportunity to explore what that means to you. And this card also, there's a transformation here. Things look different in the dark, right? And it's the same light source that we get all day from the sun. It's just arriving to us in a different way. And it's amazing the feelings that are associated with the dark versus the light, all of the old tales of whatever, werewolves and vampires and all this, it all has to do with the night and our shadows. And this can bring up some shadow work within us, those deep, dark recesses of ourselves that are scary or that we don't want to admit or we don't want to allow. If any of that's kind of pulled up for you this month, I'd be mindful of paying attention to it. You may want to look up what shadow work means. There's some, people out in the world that talk about this, and from more of a psychological or spiritual standpoint of what that means and how to deal with some of those things. It can be really heavy work. It can be really exhausting work. I find it beneficial within myself, but I'm careful about when I dive into that because I can get really hard on myself, or it can emotionally really drain me. So if you're interested in any of that and you want some resources, you're welcome to reach out to me, and I will try to provide speakers or whatever that I've come across over my years of researching this kind of stuff that I would recommend for people. I think we're going to pause, move some stuff around, and get into the second part of this reading. This is hard for me, Scorpios, and I hope you don't mind, because all I want to do is do a reading for myself. And I try really hard to not, tell you all my stuff, because you probably don't care. No, I have made it very known that I associate with the Hermit card on a very deep level. And in general, the Hermit is all about taking, to me, it's about taking our experiences that we have in the world, all the thoughts, ideas, opinions, information in general that we soak up all day long from all the people and stuff that we do, and then allowing time to be alone. And understanding there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. I don't see the hermit as lonely. I see the hermit as someone who's able to be alone and who is able to digest the world, if you will, and come back to what aligns with him. He takes in all this information, weighs it all out, and is able to connect with who he is, how he feels about everything, what his perspective based on his experiences are. And so this coming for a challenge as someone who associates deeply with this card, and I feel a lot of my Scorpio friends do. We may just not be in a place this month where it's best for us to be there. You know what I mean? That we may not get our alone time that we usually do. We may not get to turn off as much. Holidays are coming up and different things. And there's going to be lots of opportunities to interact with people and enjoy the festivities going through November and December. So it may be hard for you to find that time. It may be hard for you to digest all of what you're taking in and be aligned with your perspective, your opinions. Let's pull some more cards. Let's pull what? And going back here, the physical world with this conflict, it may just be this not necessarily being like a conflict, but just a lot going on in the physical space. And it's like, okay, what next? It's like this guy's playing whack-a-mole. I don't know why I just saw him like that, but there's just life gets busy. There's a lot of people, everybody's putting in their opinion. There's lots of ideas of what needs to be done. And it may just be not necessarily a conflict, but it could feel that way. It could feel like you're under attack, but you're really just playing whack-a-mole and trying to get through all of this stuff. And so that's why I'm feeling my friends don't want to hear that. And one of my best friends calls me the Queen of Swords. She wanted me to be the Queen of Swords for Halloween. The Queen of Swords is logical and honest and just and fair, and she's the Queen of Air. And depending on your other placements in your sign, I myself, and my moon is Virgo and my ascending is Gemini. So I'm a complicated mess. And I'm very much those right brain, left brain kind of tests. I'm typically straight down the center, and it can be really hard for people to deal with me sometimes because I can be brutally honest to a fault. And because of my emotional awareness and how I tie things emotionally to everything and I recognize patterns, I can be very mean without meaning to be mean. It's like I know how to really hurt someone unintentionally because I'm very good at kind of picking people apart, knowing their weaknesses, so on and so forth. So this is coming out in a strengths card. So let's not talk about all the negatives of it and try to focus on the positives. But I think it's important to know that energy can also be that way. So with the Queen of Swords coming out for a strength, this is calling on us to be logical. This is calling on us to be decisive. This is calling on us to be honest and fair and just. However, this is not telling us to be the judge and jury and we're going to run stuff and chop off heads. You know what I mean? Like, there's a fine line there. And for us Scorpios and our stingers, sometimes that line gets hard to read and we stand on the wrong side of it, right? But this coming out for strength for us this month, if we find ourselves being too emotional, if we find ourselves not making decisions, if we find ourselves in situations where logic can help, honesty can help, maybe not be quick to fly off the handle and get into this, I'm going to attack, but remember, higher ground, defense, not offense. This place where I'm not lashing out at people. I'm not trying to run the show, but if I can be helpful, if I can say words that are going to be meaningful in this situation, make choices, then I'm going to use my abilities to do so. I always think about these cups sharing here. Since it is hearts and there's cups depicted, it's also associated with the cup cards, which we have another one here with a sword in the center. Again, logic, decisiveness, quick potential to say the right thing at the right time. This is a seed that can be watered into something, or like a matchstick that can be lit and create fire. The King of Cups is mature water energy. There's this willingness to exchange emotions, an authenticity there, a sensitivity, empathy, all of those lovely feeling words. I feel like, and your need to know, with this queen coming out as a strength, and then the sword represented here between two emotional cards again, it is important for us to be both logical and emotional. And that proves itself over and over and over in our lives, Scorpio. I believe a lot of you can relate to that in this playing that game. We're smart when it comes to emotions. The reason why we are called intuitive has a lot to do with our pattern recognition when it comes to emotional states of people and how we read those things and how we can present ourselves to people based on what we know. I am very good at reading people. I can watch somebody for 10 minutes and know what parts of my personality that I need to emphasize to start a connection with that person. We went into some of that earlier, and flipping that switch and coming from a place that those people know we're willing, right? I think this really comes down to us being conscious about that, being logical and taking some control of that. I have control over this. I can control how I'm presenting myself. I can control turning that switch on. I can control the understanding that I can't just expect it to show up, and if I'm not willing to make it a conscious effort of mine.